defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show. This is Justin Moore. Okay guys, things are getting crazy out there. Now, I'm recording this episode actually before I leave for Freedom Fest, which was July 13th through the 16th, and so I'm not sure how things have happened, as this episode has come out in terms of gold price, silver price, and what's going on in the news with the economy. But as I am recording this, recently, Alan Greenspan, the former Federal Reserve Chairman, he's made some comments in regards to the economy, talking about inflation and talking about gold, and they're stunning. And so I have a clip here I'm going to be playing of Alan Greenspan saying this. It's a 2-minute long clip. But now keep in mind, if there's some of you that are new to this, you're just getting exposed to these ideas and what's going on in the economy. Alan Greenspan, he's not some bum off the street. He's the former Federal Reserve Chairman who was appointed by Ronald Reagan in 1987. And he's also the longest serving Federal Reserve Chairman of all time. He served from 1987 to 2006. So he served as the Federal Reserve Chairman for 19 years. And the successor to Alan Greenspan was Ben Bernanke. He served for 8 years. And the current Federal Reserve Chairman today is Janet Yellen, who took over for Bernanke in 2014. And so that's just to give you guys an idea. So this isn't just some quack. This is Alan Greenspan, the former Federal Reserve Chairman. Now, this clip I'm going to play. This is from Bloomberg TV from June 28th, 2016. And just listen to what he has to say. Let's play it.
What I do know is that the money supply, M2, which has always been a critical indicator of inflation, is for the first time, it was going up remarkably steadily, 6-7%, almost a straight line. It's tilted up in the last several months. Mm-hmm. It's added a percentage point or two. The thing that we should be worrying about now, which we have actually given no thought to whatsoever, is that this type of economic environment ends with inflation. Historically, fiat money has always ended up that way.
I'm going to get a lot of letters when you say from people who are going to say, what's he talking about? There's no inflation. The markets see no inflation. Futures indicators show no inflation. How do you defend that call?
Or to be more blunt, are you an inflationista? That's the phrase that's being used now.
All I'm saying is I don't know when it's coming. I know if you look at human history, there are times and times again when we thought that there was no inflation and everything was just going fine. And I just basically say, wait. This is not the way this thing ordinarily comes out. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I cannot say I see it on the immediate horizon. In fact, commodity prices are soggy. The oil price has been a terrific impact, had a terrific impact on global inflation. It's not about to emerge quickly, but I would not be surprised to see the next unexpected move to be on the inflation side. You don't have inflation now, and you don't have it until it happens.
Right. For all the things I've said on my show, since I started this podcast back in 2014, Alan Greenspan is solidifying everything I have been saying about the economy. And now, obviously, Greenspan, it seems like he's just kind of coming around to these ideas because he certainly didn't see any problems before. And so even Greenspan, what he pointed out in this clip I just played, he sees inflation coming. I mean, he said, just wait, but it's going to be here. It's kind of weird how Greenspan's evolved here. Greenspan was a huge gold bug back in the 1960s. He wrote this famous essay titled Gold and Economic Freedom in 1966. In that same essay, Ayn Rand used in her book Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal in 1967. I mean, so Greenspan, he was like the ideal gold bug guy, and it was amazing. and for this guy to become a Federal Reserve Chairman. Well, when he became Federal Reserve Chairman in 1987, he kind of forgot the importance of gold in the economy. I guess that's how it is with politicians in general, where, you kind of have your principles, or I guess a lot of these guys don't really understand how the free market works or anything. But it's like when you have the levers of power and you just feel that you can do good, you react differently to that power. Like Alan Greenspan, a guy who believes in gold, most of us gold bugs out here today, we don't believe there should be a Federal Reserve at all. And here's Greenspan in charge of the Federal Reserve, he was. But anyway, so now Greenspan, now that he's no longer Federal Reserve Chairman, since he retired in 2006, he's a gold bug again, and that's exactly what this clip shows. And I think he's like around 90 years old. And so here he is, I guess he'll end up dying being a gold bug. So, that's good. I'm glad Alan Greenspan's come back to his roots. And it just, when I just heard what he said in that clip, it just put chills down my spine. Because, like the things I say on this show, you never hear these things talked about in the mainstream media. But here is Alan Greenspan, the former Federal Reserve Chairman, the most famous Federal Reserve Chairman of all time, arguably, saying that, inflation isn't here yet, but just wait. It will be. It's coming. And when you're not expecting inflation, it'll just be there. And then Greenspan, in that clip, he mentions that all fiat monies collapse in the end. So he's basically right there saying he's predicting a collapse in the dollar is, subtly what he's saying. Heck, let's just play that little 10-second clip of him saying that. Let's play it.
This type of economic environment ends with inflation. Historically, fiat money has always ended up that way.
So when a guy like Alan Greenspan, who he could never see bubbles coming when he was, as the Federal Reserve Chairman, with the housing bubble, didn't see any problems there. But now that he's no longer Federal Reserve Chairman, I guess he has more freedom to talk about things. But he sees this next crisis coming. And I've said countless times on this show how obvious this crisis is. But okay, I guess, Alan Greenspan is seeing it. So it's how many more people will wake up to this? And like I've said in one of my episodes going back several weeks now, where I kind of basically was talking about The Big Short, and I was relating myself to the character played by Steve Carell in the movie. If you haven't seen this movie, please go watch it. And Steve Carell in the movie, he's saying he wants to decide, he kind of got a tip off about the housing market and subprime and how crazy it was. And he wanted to find out for himself. Okay, is it really that crazy? Come on. Well, he finds out for himself talking to people that were big into the industry, making a lot of money in the housing market, that they didn't see anything coming. They were completely blind. And he would be saying, are you effing kidding me? Yep, we got to short the housing market. Yep, we got to short subprime mortgages. Well, that character played by Steve Carell, he's based on a real guy named Steve Eisman, who shorted subprime mortgages, and he made a boatload of money. That was his claim to fame. And that frustration that Steve Carell character had, that is the frustration I've felt on this show when I'm behind the mic here talking to you guys. This crisis is so obvious. But then when I get that confirmation from a guy like Alan Greenspan, a guy with a lot of credibility, and that's mainstream media, these ideas are getting out there. Seriously, and then with all this turmoil that's been taking place lately, ever since the Brexit vote, bank stocks are collapsing in value. The writing for this crisis I've been talking about, it's on the wall. And now if you guys want more context, to what's kind of going on out there, and I have found an incredible piece here that's from goldswitzerland.com. This is by Egon von Greyers. Assuming I'm saying that correctly, and it sounds like the guy is Swiss. Obviously, goldswitzerland.com. But basically, normally when I read pieces to you guys, or when I'm referring to one in an episode, I read a few sentences, or I read a paragraph, then I butt in, I insert my opinion and kind of how I agree or disagree with what's been said there, then I continue on. Well, with this piece, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to be reading the vast majority of the piece all at one time. And so it's probably, I'm just guessing here, it'll probably take me 2 minutes to read this. I'm not reading the entire piece. There's a few spots that I have missed, but it does flow well. But just stick with me here. Focus. If you guys haven't got a shiver down your spine yet from the clips I've played of Alan Greenspan and what's coming our way, just listen to what I'm going to be reading here. Okay, so let me start off here. Between 1999, when gold bottomed at $250, and the 2011 peak at $1,920, there was only one major correction lasting 8 months in 2008. The ensuing correction from the 2011 top at $1,920 of almost $900 seemed to take an eternity until it finally finished in December 2015. The financial system almost went under in 2007 to 2009. With $25 trillion of printed money, credit, and guarantees, the system was given a temporary stay of execution. But these $25 trillion was just the initial package. Since 2006, global debt has increased by $90 trillion, plus unfunded liabilities and derivatives of several $100 trillion. This explosion of debt has confirmed the risk that we saw already back in 2002. Now, in June of 2016, I am absolutely certain that the financial system cannot survive intact. Global debt has gone from $20 trillion to $230 trillion, a more than 10 times increase in the last 25 years, and none of this debt can be repaid with real money. Governments and central banks have totally run out of ammunition. In their desperate attempts to save the financial system, they have manipulated every single market and financial instrument. They print money. They set false interest rates, now negative. They buy their own debt. They support stock markets. And they also sell gold in the paper market. All of this action or deceitful manipulation is just creating bigger bubbles that will eventually lead to a total implosion of the financial system and all the bubble assets such as stocks, bonds, and property. In addition, bank stocks in Europe are now showing all the signs of going to zero. Most major banks are down 70 to 90% since 2006, and many have fallen 25% in the last few days. The European banking system is on the way to bankruptcy, and many U.S. banks like Bank of America and Citigroup are showing the same signs. The coming months will be extremely volatile and disruptive in world financial markets. But before the financial system implodes, there will be the most massive money printing program that the world has ever seen. They will need to print money in a final and futile attempt to save the bankrupt banks. With 1.5 quadrillion in derivatives outstanding, the printing presses, or the computers, will run hot. With Deutsche Bank's derivatives at $75 trillion and JP Morgan at almost $100 trillion. Only those two banks need support at 2.5 times global GDP. It is, of course, not just the financial system that will need support. Governments will run out of any significant tax revenue and will need to print money for all their expenditure. Soon there will be virtually no Social Security and no pensions. Remember that Japan, for example, already today prints 50% of its annual expenditure. All of this printing will result in global hyperinflation of at least similar proportions to the Weimar Republic or Zimbabwe, with the dollar, euro, yen, and pound all reaching their intrinsic value of zero. Throughout history, gold and sometimes silver has been the only money that has survived. Every paper or fiat currency has always been destroyed by governments through deficit spending and money printing. In the last 100 years, all major currencies have declined 97 to 99% against gold. It is virtually guaranteed that they will go down the final 1 to 3% to zero. But it must be remembered that this decline means a 100% fall from here. This final decline of the currencies will be reflected in the gold and silver prices. I am still convinced that we will see gold at $10,000 and silver at $500, and possibly in the next 5 years, and that those levels will be reached even with normal inflation. But if we get hyperinflation, we could add quite a few zeros to the price. Gold at $1,300 and silver at $18 is a bargain, but the metals will not stay at these low levels for very long. With the correction finished and the next uptrend in place, we could soon see the metals accelerate very fast. The problem is that there's very little physical gold available in the world, and we have reached peak gold from a production point of view. With the massive outstanding paper gold positions in the system, we will soon see the paper shorts running for cover. Once demand increases, it can only be satisfied by much higher prices. So now is the time to jump on the gold wagon. Doesn't this piece blow you guys away? With everything that's been mentioned in this episode and the clip played from Alan Greenspan in that 30-minute interview he did with Bloomberg TV. And actually, I have one more clip of Greenspan just to kind of, it relates to this piece I also just read to you guys. So now let's just listen to what Greenspan says here. Well, let's play it.
No, if we went back on the gold standard and we adhered to the actual structure of the gold standard as it existed, say, prior to 1913, we'd be fine. Remember that the period 1870 to 1913 was one of the most progressive periods economically that we've had in the United States. Mm-hmm. And that was a golden period of the gold standard. So I think that it's, I'm known as a gold bug and everyone laughs at me. But, why do central banks own gold now?
Why?
Greenspan is exactly right here. Because he makes the point at the very end. He says, oh, people laugh at me for being a gold bug. And he's like, well then, why do central banks own gold? He's exactly right. If gold was some worthless relic of the past that doesn't mean anything, why do the central banks own gold at all? Why? It's because even though gold hasn't been seen and hasn't been used as money for decades, but during a crisis situation, gold and silver will be seen as real money again. Central banks can't print gold, so they can't destroy the value of gold. But the central banks, they print paper money, and they're going to destroy the value of the paper currency, the dollar, the yen, the euro. They will all be destroyed. And just like in this piece I just read to you guys, how he says they will all go to their intrinsic value of zero. It is a scary time. And it's just so scary. What is going on? You got to protect yourself. And for Alan Greenspan, the former Federal Reserve Chairman, he's advocating right here in that last clip I played, he's advocating for a gold standard. He said, from the period of 1870 to 1913, which was the classic gold standard, he says that's when we had the most prosperity. And he's exactly right. That is when our country had the most prosperity, when we were on a gold standard. When we had that stability that gold provides. But when markets, when everything goes off of a fiat currency standard and the value of it's always changing, you're basing your transactions on something that's floating, that has no real value. And that's why you get more real growth from an actual stable money that's not being manipulated by a central bank. And so, Alan Greenspan is spot on with what he said right there. And that's also, again, as I've said, when there's time of crisis, and I know it sounds crazy. I know I've talked to people and they support a lot of, sort of things I say. But then I say, we're going to be back on a gold standard. People are like, what? A gold standard? No. It's like, no, when this next crisis comes, that is what's going to happen. We will be forced onto a gold standard. And Alan Greenspan here, he agrees with me. Okay. So what am I saying here? You need to go buy gold and silver right now if you haven't done so. And now, my disclaimer, of course, you guys need to prepare yourself in other ways before you do that. But if you have the means, if you have some spare cash, you need to if you have plenty of money in the bank. What are you doing with all your money in the bank? You should have some money in physical gold and silver. Protect yourself from what's coming. If this episode doesn't scare the crap out of you like it scares me, we have very little time left at this point. The faith that we have relied on that has kept things together for this long, we've been on a fiat currency standard for about 45 years now. That's what's been able to keep things together has been faith, that people haven't lost faith in the currency. Well, when you have guys like a Federal Reserve chairman saying, yeah, there's massive inflation coming our way, and he's supporting a gold standard, and that's our only way out. Man, this world is changing fast. And so, guys, that's all I have for you today. Please, please protect yourself. I don't want you guys to get caught up. I don't want you guys to get wiped out. Because you know what? People with our point of view on things and the economy, the correct view, I would argue. If we can be the ones who protect ourselves, if we can benefit the most from what's coming, we will be the ones who will be able to help others. And that could allow us to persuade others when things, go horribly wrong. We will have that credibility. It's like, yeah, we saw this coming and we profited from it. But if we're able to help other people, we can lure them over to the small government individualist point of view of things, and because we don't want people blaming big businesses. Now, of course, yes, there is the collusion that takes place between big business and government. I'm not talking about that. But the people that just bash businesses just because they're greedy and all about money, that sort of thing, the Bernie Sanders attack on business, we need people to steer away from that. And so this will be our time to shine, and we could pull over a lot of people to our point of view. And we have some very scary times coming our way. And so, guys, please protect yourself. And if you guys can in the meantime, go to my website, justinmooreshow.com. Moore is spelled M-O-H-R. Catch up on old episodes I've done. I've done an episode that was over a year ago where I said your money in the bank isn't safe. I recorded that episode last June. Go back and listen to that episode. I talk about Greece. I talk about Cyprus. Please go back. You can go to old episodes on my website. Just go scan through the different pages, or you can obviously see all my old episodes if you're listening to me through iTunes or Stitcher or the Google Play Store. You can go back. I think this is the 97th episode I've done, I believe. And so please, guys, inform yourself, protect yourself, and when the time comes, we need to convert other people over. And so go to my website, justinmooreshow.com. Click on the little Amazon widget there. Help me out so I can keep cranking out new episodes. I need you guys to do that for me, please. I'm doing what I can to help you guys. Just please do that small little thing. It costs nothing on your part to do that. Just help me out. Because, I would appreciate that so much. As a way of, if you appreciate what I'm doing on the show, that is a great way of saying thank you to me by using my Amazon widget, clicking on it to purchase your Amazon goods. And because I get a small commission back, that can help me out. So at least I can get a little compensation for what I do here on the show. And you can also, if you want to, you can donate to my show. I have a little PayPal button there. You can donate a few dollars, or if you donate over $50, I send you my bonus episodes I have only for people who donate over $50. So guys, if you do that for me, I will talk with all you guys next week. And I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.